Akim Olufemi Gbajabiamila. God bless you all. It is our duty to do everything within our strength to support the current democracy that we are enjoying.
House of Reps condemns plans for interim government ahead of May 29th.
Federal government will be spending money 2021, 2022 and 2023 without appropriation.
And House directs NDDC to suspend the release of 15 billion naira counterpart funding requested by federal government. Hello and compliments of the season. This is House Ticket. I am Kauthar Anumba Halil. Glad to have you join in. On Thursday, 6th April 2023, the House of Representatives adjourned plenary for the Easter celebration. Before proceeding, it however attended to several issues affecting the country and its citizens via bills and motions. Amongst this is the passage of a proposed legislation seeking to compel Nigeria-trained graduates in the medical and dental fields to practice in the country for a stipulated period before being granted licenses. And a bill looking to introduce preventive measures and teachings of sexual and gender-based violence as a compulsory subject in secondary schools, alongside other vital national issues. We shall also share with you reports on motions on urgent public importance, one of which called for the reduction in the cost of transporting petroleum products. Details of these alongside other matters come your way as the program unfolds. Please stay tuned. Welcome back. At plenary in the week under review, the House condemned calls from some quarters of the country for an interim government ahead of May 29th. In a motion of urgent public importance on the need to condemn the call for interim government, which was sponsored by Honorable Unyeme Idem, the lawmakers decried attempts by some politicians to install an interim government owing to their displeasure at the outcome of the 2023 presidential election. In his lead debate, Rep. Idem noted that interim government is not only undemocratic, but is unknown to our laws.
Interim government is unknown to our laws. Interim government is undemocratic. Interim government is not something that we should support, taking into consideration that our democracy is a young one. At this point, I think it is our duty to do everything within our strength to support the current democracy that we are enjoying, to strive and then stay.
Debate on the motion was extensive, even as some lawmakers had their reservations over the motion.
I think the security agencies should do their work. If you are asking for a different government that is not known to law, it's treasonable felony. Year in, year out in this house, we budget billions of naira to the office of the NSA and the other security arms. Is it not a shame that the security agents will come out and say they have the names of people that have muted this type of government in this country? You will not arrest them to prosecute them. You are wasting our precious time telling us to condemn it. Mr. Speaker, if this government is alive to its responsibility, if it's alive to its responsibility, this should not even be an issue that will be dissipating energy on in this house.
The situation we have found ourselves is more of possession, that we should go to talk to ourselves to ensure that the right is being done. If at all they will have gone ahead to make arrests, possibly, the next reaction will be that the government in power are trying to suppress and be suppressive. I think it is not out of order to discuss this matter and back the security in their action as to how they will do and carry out their function to stabilize the country.
The main function of the state services is to protect and defend the Federal Republic of Nigeria against domestic threats within the country, irrespective of the scope. There's nothing wrong in the SSS giving heads on to citizens. It's normal. This issue has been going around in different cycles for those that have lost out. This will not happen. Every lover of this country, every participant in this democratic process must fight this, because it will take us 2.5 decades back.
Nigerians must have the appropriate democratic temper in order to be able to succeed in our practice of democracy. This is perhaps the country in the world where every election is contested. Every election ends in court. Every election is either rigged or stolen. No matter how ill-prepared the candidate was for election, the moment he loses, the accusations all the time are the same. Oh, I've been cheated. I've been rigged out. It was stolen from me. We have a duty not to engage in what I would call scorched earth actions. The anarchy that we brought upon this country, in the event that the country succumbs to the forces of retrogression, can only be imagined.
In its resolution, the House urged security agencies to be on the alert to forestall the possible breakdown of law and order. It also warned aggrieved parties to desist from hitting the polity and believe in the rule of law while awaiting the outcome of litigations before the court of law. In a similar motion, the lawmakers pushed for security to be tightened in and around airports across the country to ensure the safety of lives and property of air passengers. Report on this, as well as other activities that took place in the Green Chamber, is presented from our studio.
The call by the House for tighter security in airports across the nation is consequent upon the unanimous adoption of a motion of urgent public importance on the need to ensure strict security in and around our airports and other critical facilities, sponsored by Representative Olajide Jimoh. While leading the debate, Representative Jimoh based the motion on an incident that reportedly occurred at the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport, Abuja, where a passenger aboard an Ibom Air Abuja-Lagos flight, Obianjulu Uja, Friday before last, protested the forthcoming inauguration of President-elect Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu on May 29th.
This House notes that a man reportedly caused a stir on an Abuja-Lagos flight over the weekend, thereby causing commotion, which held the aircraft for over an hour, as he could not move until operative of the airport eventually evacuated the man. Further notes that security comes first, and there is need to take permanent and aggressive steps to improve the security of our airports. The event of Friday, 31st March 2023, is a call to take precaution on passengers' activities in the airport.
In adopting the prayers of the motion, the House urged the federal government to improve on security standards at the airports, especially exploring technology. It urged the Federal Airport Authority of Nigeria and other relevant agencies in the aviation sector to pay more attention to security concerns and ensure the lives of citizens are not in any way endangered. And further urged security agencies to ensure that unscrupulous elements are not allowed to foment trouble in any guise at the airports.
Those in favor of the motion say aye. Against say nay. That's have it.
Still on motions, lawmakers during the week tasked the Nigerian Ports Authority with dredging petroleum shipping channels to reduce the cost of petroleum products. This formed part of the prayer of a motion on the need to reduce the cost of transporting petroleum products by dredging the petroleum products shipping channel in Nigerian coastlines. Sponsor of the motion, Representative Sergius Ogun, informed that the federal government is planning to remove some coastline items on the existing petroleum monitoring spirit price template which he said would invariably increase the cost of petroleum products. He noted that among the factors accounting for the high cost of making petroleum products available to Nigerians is the poor and inadequate dredging of petroleum products shipping channels across the Nigerian coastline.
Needs to reduce the cost of transporting petroleum products by dredging the petroleum products shipping channel in Nigeria coastline. The House notes that Section 16(1)(b) of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999, as amended, provides that the state shall control the national economy in such manner as to secure the maximum welfare, freedom, and happiness of every citizen based on social justice and equality of status and opportunity. The House is informed that the federal government of Nigeria is planning to remove some cost line items on the existing petroleum motoring spirit PMS pricing template, which will invariably increase the cost of petroleum products.
Those in favor of the motion say aye.
The motion was unanimously adopted by the House, which also resolved to urge the Nigerian Ports Authority to urgently carry out the holistic dredging of petroleum product shipping channels in Nigerian coastlines due to the high cost of transporting energy products to parts of the country. It further mandated its Committee on Ports and Harbour and Petroleum Resources downstream to ensure compliance with the resolution and report back within 4 weeks.
Right, Honourable Speaker, Honourable Members.
Meanwhile, the House on Wednesday resolved to transmit a bill seeking to establish the State Security Council to President Muhammadu Buhari for assent. According to the House, the Constitution 5th Alteration Bill No. 47, Establishment of State Security Council 2023, had met the constitutional requirements for an amendment to the relevant parts of the 1999 Constitution. Consequently, it mandated the Clerk of the National Assembly, Mr. Sani Tambuwal, to transmit the bill to the President for his assent in line with the provisions of the Acts Authentication Act. The National Assembly had in January transmitted 35 constitution alteration bills passed by the State Houses of Assembly in concurrence with the National Assembly out of the 44 bills sent to the states.
Glad to have you back. Last week, Thursday, the House mandated the Niger Delta Development Commission to put on hold the release of the 15 billion naira counterpart funding requested by the federal government, pending the approval of the Commission's budget by the House. This was contained in a motion of urgent public importance sponsored by Rep. Unyime Idem.
The House away.
In his debate, Representative Unyime related that the federal government sent a special request to the Ministry of Niger Delta to finance a humanitarian program worth billions of naira using loot recovered by the EFCC without budgetary allocation. The lawmaker, who described the request as a breach of the Appropriation Act, noted that the NDDC budget estimates for 2021 to 2023 is currently before the House for approval.
Cognizant that the federal government sent a special request mandating the Ministry of Niger Delta to jointly finance an intervention and humanitarian program of sums running into several billions of naira using the money recovered by the EFCC without budgetary provision. Also cognizant that the NDDC budget estimate for 2021, 2022, and 2023 is before this honorable House for legislative approval.
It's curious that the budget of 2021, 2022, and 2023 of NDDC has not been approved. The issue is, how have they been operating? The committee should actually find out how an organ of the government, an agency of government, could be existing or functioning or performing without budgetary approval for 3 years. It means they are getting the oxygen from somewhere. It will be untoward to say that, look, The Speaker is presiding and we are here, and we have responsibility for appropriation. And the federal government will be spending money 2021, 2022, and 2023 without appropriation.
In adopting the resolutions of the motion, the lawmakers charged its Committee on Niger Delta Development Commission to scrutinize such requests made by the federal government and report back to the House within 2 weeks.
Those against me say nay. Ayes have it.
During the week under review, a number of bills were read for the first time. Among them are Nigerian Building and Road Research Institute Establishment Bill 2023, Federal University of Technology, Ikota Abasi, Akwa Ibom State Establishment Bill 2023, Federal Capital Territory Development Commission Bill 2023, and Nigerian Police Force Training School and Institutions Establishment Bill 2023. Others are Nigerian Examination Council (NECO) Establishment Bill 2023, Mutual Legal Assistance in Criminal Matters Act Amendment Bill 2023, Extradition Act Amendment Bill 2023, Nigerian Data Protection Bill 2023, as well as the Medical Residency Training Act Amendment Bill 2023. In the same vein, the following bills were read a second time. A bill for an act to establish the National Social Investment Program and the National Social Investment Program Agency to assist and empower the poor and vulnerable in Nigeria and for related matters, as well as a bill for an act to establish the National Environmental Research and Training Institute for the development of environmental policies, training and research, and for related matters. The legislators equally read several bills for a third time. Among them are a bill for an act to introduce preventive measures and teachings of sexual and gender-based violence into the curriculum as a compulsory subject, civic education for all secondary schools in Nigeria and for related matters. A bill for an act to provide for the establishment of the Federal University Gusau, Zamfara State and for related matters.
The reports of the committees on basic education and services.
Meanwhile, the House considered and adopted a report by the Committees on Basic Education and Services and Healthcare Services on a bill seeking to capture breast and cervical cancer under civic education. The chairman of the House Committee on Basic Education and Services, Professor Julius Ihonvere, laid the report on January 19, 2023. The House equally considered and adopted the report of the Committee on Basic Education and Services on a bill seeking to make education on sexual and gender-based violence compulsory in schools. In another development, a bill seeking to compel Nigerian trained graduates in the medical and dental fields to practice in the country for a period of 5 years before being granted a license by the Medical Council was read a second time. According to the sponsor of the bill, Representative Ganiu Johnson, the proposed legislation is in a bid to check the mass exodus of medical professionals from the country and to ensure availability of quality healthcare services in Nigeria, among other reasons.
As I speak, we have less than 10,000 doctors in Nigeria. So that is alarming. The vacuum is that immediately after housemanship, we notice that most doctors, because of greener pastures, there is a capital flight from Nigeria abroad to UK, America. Should we fold our arms? So to give back to the society, that is to our people, after training you, yes, we are not saying you cannot go abroad to make your money, but if government has subsidized your tuition, okay, I mean, to the tune of 40 to 150,000. The least we can get from you is that after your housemanship, before you are given full license, at least you can give back to the society within a period of 5 years. So after 5 years, you are free to go. At least you've given back to the society.
Debate on the bill was robust as the lawmakers threw their weights behind the bill.
It has brought up a systematic way in which the country is going to address the problem of brain drain. Because like the mover of the motion, the bill has said, the sponsor of the bill, it pains us a lot to see that our skilled manpower the way in which they are moving out of the shores of this country, it is something that we must stand up to address. And by bringing this bill, if it is adopted and passed by this House and concurred by the Senate and assented to by the President, is going to help this country in retaining the required and needed skills we need in improving our healthcare system in this country.
When there is a critical problem in any society, as leaders of the society, we must be courageous enough to give the critical solution to the problem. There is no two way about it. We are losing a lot of our skilled manpower to countries that ordinarily should be the ones that will even be helping us to build this manpower. We must ensure that we evolve means of retaining this skilled manpower in the country for a minimum period of time to ensure that whoever benefits from the heavy subsidy of training in this country, in the medical profession or any other profession whatsoever, is under an obligation to offer service to the country that has trained him and sponsored him for a minimum number of years, and then he can take his leave and go off, to any other part of the world as he wishes.
Majority of this medical practitioner didn't want to travel abroad. I support that. I support the bill, but that the license should be seized or temporary license should be given. I don't think it will help medical practice in Nigeria. Rather, they should give full license. Then if there's going to be a probational period that a medical doctor will stay and practice, I think that needs to be looked into.
The issue we're trying to cure is the brain drain. And that in itself, in my own opinion, Mr. Speaker, I think is a catch-22 situation that we're in now as a country. Do we try to restrict these people and impinge on their own fundamental human rights, or do we start to provide for the resources that we need to apportion more resources to the medical profession? I am concerned about that aspect of saying they cannot have full-fledged licenses and the fundamental human rights these Nigerians also have to self-actualization as well. Are we not impinging on that aspect of it? These are things that I think we need to look at critically.
Responding to concerns raised by some lawmakers on the proposed bill as regards the infringement on the fundamental human rights of such medical practitioners, the Speaker weighed in.
Section 45(1) of the Constitution, it actually allows you to deviate from fundamental human rights under certain conditions. And one of those conditions is where it concerns public health. It's specifically written there, public health, 45(1). So if the government or we feel that to safeguard public health, this restriction should be put, then we have not violated anybody's fundamental human rights. So
consequently, the bill was passed for second reading.
Those against me say nay. Ayes have it.
That sums up this week's episode of the program. Join us again next week for a fresh episode. Many thanks for watching. Be well.